Welcome to the Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life with Vicki Washburn. Vicki and her guests will share their journey of the golden years and how they're creating a vibrant life. Topics will include family, fun, life, love, travel, and everything Boomer. You too can have the best of your vibrant life now. We are broadcasting from Global Voice Radio every week, and now here's your host, Vicki Washburn.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Vicki Washburn with the Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Today, I want to talk about happiness. Happiness is one of those things that you would think by the time we reach this age of 50, 60, 70, we'd have it all figured out. But many times, I think many of us struggle with what happiness really is. I recently read an article and it listed 10 scientifically proven ways to be incredibly happy. So let's just talk about some of these. First, let's get something clear. Many people think that happiness is a result. That is not true at all. Happiness is actually a driver. And as we go through these, I think you'll come to understand what I mean. One example that I can think of is, when you're not happy, you kick the dog. You grump at your kids. You don't get along with your coworkers. You don't want to get out of bed. Happiness is not the result. Happiness is the driver that affects the rest of your attitude. Happiness is also not something that comes from outside of ourselves, but rather from within ourselves. It's something that we have to cultivate and decide to be every day. We can decide whether to be happy or we can decide whether to not be happy. It all lies within us. While I definitely like finding ways to improve my personal productivity, probably the best way to be more productive is to be happier. Happy people just get more done. Now, you might say that's easier said than done, but again, it all goes back to what's within. So let's talk about some of these ways that we can accomplish more happiness within our lives. The first thing that was mentioned in the article was exercise. With as little as 7 minutes of exercise a day. We all have 7 minutes that we could do something, right? Here's a little tidbit from the article. Exercise has such a profound effect on our happiness and well-being that it's an effective strategy for overcoming depression. There is a study cited in Shawn Achor's book, The Happiness Advantage, where 3 groups of patients treated their depression with medication, exercise, or a combination of the two. The results of the study were surprising. Although all 3 groups experienced similar improvements to their happiness level in the beginning, the follow-up assessments proved to be radically different. The groups were tested 6 months later to assess their relapse rate. Of those who had taken medication only, 38% had slipped back into depression. Those in the combination group were doing only slightly better, with a 31% relapse rate. The biggest shock, though, came from the exercise group. Their relapse rate was a mere 9%. Just get out and walk. Getting out in nature, getting out in sunshine, breathing fresh air can just uplift our attitudes. I know for me, when I'm sick and I've been cooped up in the house, even if I've got a hacky, horrible cold, just getting outside and breathing some fresh air just makes me feel better, even if it's only for just a moment. So exercise is a big one. Excuse me. Also found about exercise is that even if you don't lose weight, even if your body makes no physically noticeable changes, that when we exercise, we actually have a better attitude, feel better about our body. We adopt a better body image attitude. So again, just 7 minutes a day can make a very big impact. Number 2, sleep more. Boy, that's an obvious one, isn't it? If you don't get enough sleep, you're just a big old grump. I know I can be. When we lack sleep, when we get more sleep, we're less sensitive to negative emotions. We don't react as quickly to things happening around us. We can go with the flow much easier. We have a better outlook on life. And the scientific side of it is that negative stimuli gets processed by the amygdala. Now, the amygdala is the center of our emotions, really. And the amygdala is found right in the middle of your brain, almost directly behind the bridge of your nose. Positive or neutral memories get processed by the hippocampus. Sleep deprivation hits the hippocampus harder than the amygdala. The result is sleep-deprived people fail to recall pleasant memories, yet recall gloomy memories just fine. There was an experiment by Walker where sleep-deprived college students tried to memorize a list of words. They could remember 81% of the words with negative connotations, like cancer, but they could remember only 31% of the words with a positive or neutral connotation, like sunshine or basket. Another study showed that sleep affects our sensitivity to negative emotions. Using a facial recognition task throughout the course of a day, researchers studied how sensitive participants were to positive and negative emotions. Those who worked through the afternoon without taking a nap became more sensitive to negative emotions like fear and anger. I know that when you're tired, fear is one of those things that creeps in much easier. Fear of the boogeyman under the bed, fear of the future, fear of what's going on in our lives. Fear can attack us in many different ways when we're sleep deprived. Another study showed that employees' moods when they started work in the morning, however, another study tested how employees' moods when they started work in the morning affected their entire workday. Researchers found that employees' moods when they clocked in tend to affect how they felt the rest of the day. Early mood was linked to their perceptions of customers and how they reacted to the customers' moods. This could explain sometimes when you get that grumpy customer service person, they just perceive you in a way that's based on what their mood is. So have a little grace when you deal with those people. Maybe they just are having a bad day. Number 3, spend more time with friends and family. Staying in touch with friends and family is one of the top 5 regrets of people as they come to the end of their lives. You know, when we get older, sometimes it's hard to maintain those friendships. Distance and work and kids and all of that has interfered with our time and our ability to maintain friendships. And so they kind of slip away. And then we find ourselves as empty nesters or single or, whatever, widowed, whatever happens, later in life. And we regret not maintaining those friendships. And friendships are one of the things that can just get us through even the worst of times. I know for me, I had a really hard time when my husband and I split, and my best friend, talk about God's timing. For 20 years, she and I had prayed for her to move home. 20 years we had plotted and planned and tried to get her home. And less than a week after he moved out, she called me and said, "I'm coming home." I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. And 3 weeks later, she was on my doorstep, and she is still here. And that is a friendship that has sustained me for nearly 40 years. I am so grateful every day that she is close by. And even though we may not see each other every day, sometimes we don't even see each other every month. But we talk and we text almost daily. And just knowing that if I need to, I can get in my car and be in her driveway in 40 minutes just makes it so much better. If you want more evidence that time with friends is beneficial to you, research proves that it can make you happier right now. Social time is highly valuable when it comes to improving our happiness, even for introverts. Several studies have shown that time spent with friends and family makes the biggest difference in how happy we feel. I know for me, when my children are here and the house is full of kids and grandkids and all the noise and the hustle and bustle, I may get completely worn out from all the people and all the activity, but I go to bed with such a sense of gratitude and peace and happiness, knowing that they have been here. George Vaillant is a director of a 72-year study of the lives of 268 men. In an interview in March of 2008 newsletter to the Grant Study subjects, Vaillant was asked, "What have you learned from the Grant Study men?" Vaillant's response, that the only thing that really matters in life are your relationships to other people. Men's relationships at age 47, he found, predicted late life adjustment better than any other variable. Good sibling relationships seem especially powerful. 93% of the men who were thriving at age 65 had been close to a brother or sister when they were younger. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Socioeconomics states that your relationships are worth more than $100,000. They're worth way more than that to me. I think that we can all agree that friendships can not only lead to greater happiness, but one of the biggest issues that I see people our age talking about is loneliness. Well, when you've got lots of friends, it's easy to ward off that lonely feeling by staying active with those friends. In a recent Terman study covered in the Longevity Project, they found that relationships and how we help others were important factors in living long and happy lives. We figured if a Terman participant sincerely felt that he or she had friends or relatives to count on when having a hard time, then that person would be healthier. Those who felt very loved and cared for, we predicted, would live longest. Surprise, our prediction was wrong. Beyond social network size, the clearest benefit of social relationships came from helping others. Those who helped their friends and neighbors, advising and caring for others, tend to live the longest. So not only friendships that are there for you, but it is important for you to be there for others. It's important for you to be a friend to others, not just others to be a friend to you. Number 4, get outside more. Happiness is maximized at 57 degrees. I found this quite funny. Another thing I find quite funny is that 57 in the fall feels so terribly cold, and 57 in the spring feels so wonderfully warm. In the Happiness Advantage, Shawn Achor recommends spending time in the fresh air to improve your happiness. Making time to go outside on a nice day also delivers a huge advantage. One study found that spending 20 minutes outside in good weather not only boosted positive mood, but broadened thinking and improved working memory. On top of that, just being outside in the sunshine is beneficial for your health, reduces cholesterol, reduces your blood pressure, increases D3, D4 in your system. All of these are great for your health. So just 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes. You can spend 20 minutes, take a walk. Then you get the benefit of 2 things. You get outside and you get your exercise. Being outdoors near the sea on a warm, sunny weekend afternoon is the perfect spot for most. In fact, participants were found to be substantially happier outdoors in all natural environments than they were in urban environments. I know for me, being by the ocean, being by the lake, being by a river, out in the woods, I just am at peace. Now, some people prefer the mountains. I love to hike. I love to just be in the trees. But if you give me a choice of being by the water or not being by the water, I'm always going to choose being by the water. The American Meteorology Society published research in 2011 that found current temperatures have a bigger effect on our happiness than variables like wind speed and humidity, or even the average temperature over the course of a day. It also found that happiness is maximized at 57 degrees. So keep an eye on the weather forecast before heading outside for your 20 minutes of fresh air. The connection between productivity and temperature is another topic we could talk about. I know for me, when it's cold, I am very unproductive. I hate the cold. I hate the cold. I hate the cold. Number 5, helping others. And we kind of touched on this just a minute ago. One study showed that 100 hours a year is a magic number for helping others. One of the most counterintuitive pieces of advice I found is that to make yourself feel happier, to make yourself feel happier, you should help others In fact, 100 hours per year or 2 hours per week is the optimal time we should dedicate to helping others in order to enrich our lives. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You can volunteer at a homeless shelter. You could help teach others to read at the library. You can volunteer for an event like Race for the Cure or a dog shelter, or there's just so many opportunities to give of yourself in your church, in your community, in the schools in your area. And again, I'm going to go back to Shawn Achor's book. And he says this about helping others. When researchers interviewed more than 150 people about their recent purchases, they found that money spent on activities such as concerts and group dinners out brought far more pleasure than material purchases like shoes, televisions, or watches. Spending money on other people, called pro-social spending, also boosted happiness. Well, now, I don't know about you guys, but I have a small herd of grandkids, and there is nothing I love more than shopping for my grandkids. If I am going to be out and about and I see a cute little dress or a handsome little shirt that makes me think of one of them, it just brings me the greatest pleasure to get that and deliver it to them. And I'm sure that you're the same way. The Journal of Happiness Studies published a study that explored this very topic. Participants recalled a previous purchase made for either themselves or someone else and then reported on their happiness. Afterward, participants chose whether to spend a monetary windfall on themselves or someone else. Participants assigned to recall a purchase made for someone else reported feeling significantly happier immediately after this recollection. Most importantly, the happier participants felt, the more likely they were to choose to spend a windfall on someone else in the near future. So spending money on other people makes us happier than buying stuff for ourselves. But what about spending our time on other people? A study of volunteering in Germany explored how volunteers were affected when their opportunities to help others were taken away. Shortly after the fall of the Berlin Wall, but before the German reunion, the first wave of data of the GSOEP was collected in East Germany. Volunteering was still widespread. Due to the shock of the reunion, a large portion of the infrastructure of volunteering, i.e. sports clubs associated with firms, collapsed, and people randomly lost their opportunities for volunteering. Based on a comparison of the change in subjective well-being of these people and the people from the control group who had no change in their volunteering status, the hypothesis is supported that volunteering is rewarding in terms of higher life satisfaction. The Bible even tells us it's better to give than to receive. The more we give of ourselves, the more we grow. The Bible also tells us that if we give, it will be given back to us, pressed down and overflowing, that it will come back to us 10 times what we gave away. So as we give of our time, the same comes to us. When we give of our time, time is given back to us. Time in people's interaction with us. So giving is always a very good way to add to your happiness factor. Practice smiling. Reduce pain, improve mood, think better. This one is particularly funny to me. I have a girlfriend who says to me all the time, smile, we'll get more. We took a trip to Italy, and she must have said that to me 3 times a day. Now, I'm not opposed to smiling. I think I smile a lot. Apparently, I don't smile enough. So it has become a concerted effort on my part to smile more, even if I'm smiling for no reason. You know, there's the old joke, smile, they'll wonder what you're up to. And so that is something that I'm really working on, is smiling more. Smiling can make us feel better. It makes us feel joyous inside, even if we're smiling for no reason. There are studies that show that when we smile, it makes us have more positive thoughts. A new study led by Michigan State University business scholars suggests customer service workers who fake smile throughout the day A new study led by a Michigan State University business scholar suggests customer service workers who fake smiled throughout the day worsen their mood and withdraw from work, affecting productivity. But workers who smile as a result of cultivating positive thoughts, such as a tropical vacation or a child's recital, improve their mood and withdraw less, and therefore are more productive. Of course, it's important to practice real smiles. You know, we don't want to go through our day with a fake smile on our face, but sometimes if you smile long enough, it just becomes a real smile. Don't just smile with your eyes, although that can be kind of fun too. Smile with your mouth, smile with your whole face. Just smile. According to one blog, smiling can improve our attention and help us perform better on cognitive tasks. Smiling makes us feel good, which also increases our attentional flexibility and our ability to think holistically. When this idea was tested by Johnson et al. In 2010, the results showed that participants who smiled performed better on attentional tasks, which required seeing the whole forest rather than just the trees. A smile is also a good way to reduce some of the pain we feel in troubling circumstances. I know that many times in my life, when there has been a tragedy or something that could potentially be a tragedy, if there was anything to be found that was funny or to laugh about, it just eased the whole situation and reduce the pain. Smiling is a way to reduce the distress caused by an upsetting situation. Psychologists call this facial feedback hypothesis. Even forcing a smile when we don't feel like it is enough to lift our mood even slightly. So just smile more. You'll get more. Number 7, plan a trip. It helps even if you don't actually take it. Can you believe that? That just the planning of a trip, even if you don't intend to take it, can actually improve your happiness factor. I love to travel. I love to plan trips. I love to think about planning trips. I love to look at places to go. I love to research places to see when I go there. I love it all. So I guess that's probably a really good thing for me to practice to help with my happiness factor. So even if you're actually not going to take a holiday, simply planning the vacation or taking that break from work can improve your happiness. A study published in the journal Applied Research in Quality of Life showed that the highest spike in happiness came during the planning stage of a vacation as people enjoy the sense of anticipation. In the study, the effect of vacation anticipation boosted happiness for 8 weeks. 8 weeks! After the vacation, happiness quickly dropped back to baseline levels for most people. Sean Aker has some info for us on this point as well. One study found that people who just thought about watching their favorite movie actually raised their endorphin levels by 27%. Our thoughts have power, people. Our thoughts have power. If you can't take the time for a vacation right now, or even a night out with friends, put something on the calendar. Even if it's a month or a year down the road, then whenever you need a boost of happiness, remind yourself about it. Plot or plan a little bit about it, and it will boost your happiness. Number 8, meditate. Rewire your brain for happiness. I love this one. Meditation is one of my favorite things to do. It just brings me such peace. Meditation is often touted as an important habit for improving focus, clarity, and attention span, as well as helping to keep you calm. There are lots of studies that say this. It turns out it's also useful for improving your happiness. In one study, a research team from Massachusetts General Hospital looked at the brain scans of 16 people before and after they participated in an 8-week course in mindfulness meditation. The study, published in the January issue of Psychiatry Research Neuroimaging, concluded that after completing the course, parts of the participants' brains associated with compassion and self-awareness had grown, and parts associated with stress had shrunk. Meditation literally clears your mind and calms you down. It's been proven to be the single most effective way to live a happier life. According to Aker, meditation can actually make you happier long term. Studies have shown that in the minutes right after meditating, we experience feelings of calm and contentment, as well as heightened awareness of empathy. And research even shows that regular meditation can permanently rewire the brain to raise levels of happiness. The fact that we can actually alter our brain structure through meditation is most surprising to me and somewhat reassuring that however we feel and think today is not permanent, that we can choose to change our thoughts and change our lives. Number 9, move closer to work. A shorter commute is worth more than a big house. Now, I don't know about this one. I live I work from home a lot, so then my commute is really low. But sometimes I work in town, and that's about a 20-minute drive. Now, I would not change where I live to reduce that 20-minute drive because I kind of live in the country. I live on 2.5 acres, kind of outside the city limits, and I like that. So I wouldn't move into the city just to reduce that commute. But I can see how if you lived in an area like LA or New York City or Chicago or, lots of other places I can think of, that living closer to your work could definitely reduce your stress and increase your happiness level. Commuting to work can be an extremely frustrating thing. Traffic, poor drivers, so many things can just frustrate you and add to your stress. And according to the Art of Manliness, having a long commute is something we often fail to realize will affect us so dramatically. While many voluntary conditions don't affect our happiness in the long term because we acclimate to them, people never get accustomed to the daily slog to work because sometimes the traffic is awful and sometimes it's not. Driving in traffic is a different kind of hell every single day. Two Swiss economists who studied the effect of commuting on happiness found that such factors could not make up for the misery created by a long commute. Doesn't matter whether it's for a bigger house, a better job, or more money. That commute can just be killer. Number 10. This is one of my favorites. Practice gratitude. Increase happiness and satisfaction. This is seemingly a simple strategy, but I personally have found it to make a huge difference in my outlook. There are lots of ways to practice gratitude, from keeping a journal on things you're grateful for, sharing 3 good things that happen to you each day with a friend or a partner, and going out of your way to show gratitude to others that help you. I have shared before that I am a co-author of a book called Live in Gratitude Daily. And just being a part of this book and doing Facebook Lives regularly in the Live in Gratitude Daily Facebook page has made a huge impact in my life the last year. It has brought so many wonderful things to my life and just changed my overall contentment and peace and happiness. I can vouch for this one personally. There are lots of ways to practice gratitude. Pick one that works for you. I started writing in the beginning. I just started trying to write things down that I was grateful for to get out of a funk. And at first it was just the usual things: my house, my kids, my work, my car, the things. But pretty soon I found that I could write pages and pages and pages of what I was grateful for. I think you will find that if you start to practice this, you will find yourself slowly but surely feel happier and more at peace. Gratitude outlook groups exhibit heightened well-being across several, though not all, of the outcome measures across the 3 studies relative to the comparison groups. The effect on positive effect appeared to be most robust. Let me start over with this. In an experiment where participants took note of things they were grateful for each day, their moods were improved just from this simple practice. The gratitude outlook groups exhibited heightened well-being across several, though not all, of the outcome measures across the 3 studies. Relative to the comparison groups, the effect on positive effect appeared to be the most robust finding. Results suggest that a conscious focus on blessings may have emotional and interpersonal benefits. Again, I say, our thoughts affect our mood, our thoughts affect our life, our thoughts have power. The Journal of Happiness Studies published a study that used letters of gratitude to test how being grateful can affect our levels of happiness. Participants included 219 men and women who wrote 3 letters of gratitude over a 3-week period. Results indicated that writing letters of gratitude increased participants' happiness in life situations while decreasing depressive symptoms. So while getting older should actually mean that we're happier, especially past middle age, not all of us experience this. We should, but we don't. There are studies that say that most of us, as we get older, just naturally grow happier. We don't have the burdens of youth. We don't have the responsibilities. We have more freedom. We have the ability to help others. We have more time to give. But some people still struggle in the happiness arena. I hope that the things that I've shared today can help you to have a more vibrant life and to increase your happiness factor. So till next week, this is Vicki Washburn with The Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Go out and have a vibrant week.
Host of The Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. Connect with Vicki at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of The Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life on Global Voice Radio, where your message and your voices are heard.